The ship tore through the silence of space like a wounded animal. Sparks jumped across the control panels, alarms screamed, and Captain Elias Kane struggled to keep his hand steady on the failing controls. He had been in worse fights before, but this was different. The storm that hit his vessel was no ordinary storm. It was a wave of magnetic energy, a cosmic tide that no human technology could predict. Elias cursed under his breath as the console darkened, one system after another, shutting down. He was far away from Earth, far beyond the mapped trade routes and utterly alone. His mission had been simple: scout the unknown edge of the galaxy and send back data. But now, that mission had collapsed into a desperate fight for survival. The planet below came into view through the cracked cockpit window. It was a world painted in strange hues. Forests of silver and blue stretched across its surface, and rivers glowed faintly as if lit from within. Elias had no choice. His ship was going down. The crash was violent. Metal screamed as the hull tore through the alien atmosphere. The ship struck the ground, skipped once like a stone on water, and finally buried itself into the strange Earth. Elias was thrown from his seat, his body slamming against the restraints. For a long moment all was silent. He opened his eyes slowly, the taste of blood in his mouth. His vision swam, and every muscle screamed in pain. But he was alive. Somehow. With great effort, he forced himself out of the wreckage. The air outside was breathable, though sharp and heavy in his lungs. Strange plants grew all around, their leaves reflecting light like glass. The ground pulsed faintly, as though the planet itself was alive. Elias stumbled forward, clutching his bleeding side. His vision blurred, and every step felt like it might be his last. Hours passed, or perhaps only minutes. He could not tell. He wandered into a forest where towering trees stretched upward like pillars of crystal. The light filtered through them in shifting colors, painting the ground in living rainbows. His body shook, weakness pulling him down. His legs buckled, and he fell to his knees. That was when he saw her. At first, Elias thought he was hallucinating. A figure moved between the crystal trees with a grace that seemed unreal. She was tall, her form slender but strong, her skin shimmering faintly like liquid silver beneath the shifting light. Her eyes, glowing softly with an inner flame, fixed on him with surprise and caution. She wore armor that looked grown from the forest itself, flowing like scales yet bending like cloth. Elias tried to speak but only coughed, his throat dry and burning. The figure drew closer, her movements silent, cautious. She carried a long staff tipped with a blade that seemed to hum with energy. The alien woman studied him for a moment, her gaze hard and unreadable. She said something in a language Elias could not understand, sharp, melodic tones that rolled like water over stone. Elias shook his head weakly. I don't understand. She tilted her head, frowning slightly. Then, with a sigh, she knelt beside him. Up close, Elias could see faint markings on her skin, like glowing veins of light. She opened a pouch at her side and took out a small vial filled with a shimmering liquid. His vision blurred again. He thought it was medicine. His desperate human instinct for survival pushed him. With trembling hands, he snatched the vial and drank. The liquid burned like fire in his throat. It was sharp, metallic, yet strangely sweet. Heat spread through, his chest rushing into his limbs. His pain dulled, his wounds tingled as though knitting themselves closed. His eyes widened in shock. The alien woman's reaction was immediate. Her eyes flared with rage and fear. She shouted, her voice ringing through the forest. "That's my blood, human. Stop drinking." But it was too late. The vial was empty. Elias fell back, gasping, his heart pounding like a war drum. The strange warmth spread deeper, stronger, until every nerve in his body burned. He cried out, clutching his chest. The alien woman, Serenia, though he did not yet know her name, grabbed his shoulders and shook him. Her face twisted between anger and horror. "You fool," she hissed in broken human words, her accent sharp but understandable. "You were not meant to touch it. My blood. It destroys outsiders. Elias could not answer. His body convulsed, his vision flashing with strange images, cities made of crystal spires, oceans glowing under alien stars, warriors with silver skin locked in battles older than human history. None of these memories were his, yet they crashed into his mind like a flood. Serenia pulled back, watching in disbelief. The humans should have been dead. Any other species who drank Valari blood had fallen instantly, their bodies burned from the inside. But this one, this strange, stubborn human, was still alive. Not only alive, changing. Elias's wounds closed before her eyes, his breathing steadied. His gaze, though confused and wild, sharpened as if seeing the world in a new light. What did you give me? Elias whispered, his voice trembling. Serenia's face hardened. I gave you nothing. You stole what you could never return. She stood, her staff's blade humming dangerously. For a moment, Elias thought she might strike him down where he lay. But she did not. Instead, she turned her eyes to the forest, around them scanning the shadows. Her voice dropped low, almost to a growl. You have cursed us both, human. Now, we are bound. Elias struggled to rise, his body still shivering from the strange fire within him. He tried to speak, but no words came. All he knew was that he was no longer the same man who had crashed here. Something alien now flowed in his veins. Something unfamiliar. Serenia looked at him once more, her expression unreadable, a storm of emotions hidden behind her glowing eyes. This world will not forgive you, she said softly. And neither will my people. With that, she turned and began walking into the glowing forest, her silver form vanishing between the crystal trees. Elias stood shakily, watching her go. His instincts screamed to follow. Whatever had just happened, his fate was now tied to hers. He could feel it, an invisible thread pulling between them, a bond he could not explain. And though he did not yet know her name, nor the full weight of what he had done, Elias Kane understood one thing with certainty. His destiny had changed forever. The night came quickly on the strange world. A silver-blue sky dimmed and twin moons rose over the crystal forest. Elias sat near the wreckage of his ship, his hands trembling as he stared at them. He had survived, but not in the way he had expected. His body felt alive in a way that was both terrifying and strange. His wounds were gone. His cuts had closed, his bruises faded. Even the deep gash in his side, which should have taken weeks to heal, had disappeared in hours. His strength had returned, but not the same strength as before. It was more. He could feel the heartbeat of the planet, the slow thrum of energy beneath the ground, as if the very air whispered to him. Yet his mind was not quiet. Images kept flashing before his eyes. Cities he had never seen. People he had never known. Battles fought under suns that were not Earth's. They came in fragments like broken glass reflecting light. And then there was her, Serenia, the silver-skinned woman with fire in her eyes. She had vanished into the forest, but Elias could still feel her presence. As if something inside him was tethered to her, pulling faintly, telling him which direction she had gone. He wanted to understand what was happening to him, but fear gnawed at his chest. He had stolen her blood, and though he had not meant to, he knew it was no small crime. She had called it a curse, and maybe it was. Hours passed. He gathered what little supplies he could from the wreckage, a half-broken scanner, a survival knife, and a pack with water rations. The rest of the ship was useless, too damaged to repair. If he stayed, he would die. If he followed her, maybe he would find answers. Elias rose, his body moving with surprising ease. His steps were lighter, his balance sharper. The forest, no longer felt hostile. It felt alive, aware, watching him. He followed the invisible pull, deeper into the glowing trees. A dangerous walk. The forest was silent. except for the faint hum that seemed to vibrate through the crystal trunks. Strange creatures moved between the shadows, small insect-like beings with wings that shimmered in the moonlight. They scattered as Elias passed, but not all creatures fled. As he stepped into a clearing, a low growl froze him in place. From the edge of the trees, a beast emerged. Its body was massive, covered in scaled plates that reflected light like metal. Its eyes burned bright orange, and its jaws opened wide to reveal teeth longer than his hand. Elias gripped his knife, but he knew it was useless. The beast lunged. Instinct took over. His body moved faster than his mind could think. He dodged aside, rolled across the glowing ground, and came up on his feet again. His muscles burned with strange energy, his senses sharp. He could hear the creature's heartbeat, could see the tension in its muscles before it leapt again. This time he moved with purpose. When the beast struck, Elias sidestepped and drove his knife into the soft joint of its neck. The blade sank deep and the creature roared, thrashing before collapsing into the ground. Elias stood over it, breathing hard. His hands trembled, not from fear but from shock. He had moved like a soldier, faster and stronger than he had ever been in his life. "What is happening to me?" he whispered. The return of Serenia. A voice answered from the shadows. "You are changing." Elias spun, knife still in his hand. Serenia stepped into the clearing, her silver skin glinting in the moonlight. Her staff blade rested casually at her side, but her eyes were sharp as she studied him. "You should not have survived that beast," she said softly. "No human could." Elias swallowed hard. "I don't understand. Your blood, it's inside me. And now I feel things I shouldn't feel. I see things I shouldn't see." Serenia's face darkened. "Yes, that is the bond, the curse." She walked closer, her steps quiet, graceful. "Valari blood is not like yours. It carries memory, power, the essence of generations. No outsider can hold it. They burn, they die. Yet you drink and live. This has never happened." Elias shook his head. "I didn't know what it was. I thought it was medicine. I was dying." Her eyes softened for a brief moment, but then hardened again. "Ignorance does not erase what you have done." Elias lowered his knife. "Then tell me, what's happening to me? Am I becoming like you?" Serenia paused, her gaze searching his face. "No, you cannot become Valari, but you are no longer fully human either. Our blood ties us. Your life is tied to mine now. If I weaken, you weaken. If I die, you die." Elias's heart pounded. "Bound? You mean I'm connected to you?" "Yes," she said firmly, "and that connection will only grow stronger." Visions shared that night. They sat near a fire Serenia built with glowing wood. The flames shimmered silver blue, casting strange shadows across her face. Elias sat opposite her, staring into the fire, trying to piece together the storm inside. His mind. "Do you see them too?" he asked quietly. Her eyes lifted. "See what?" "The visions," Elias said. "Cities I've never been to. People I've never met. Memories that don't belong to me." Serenia's expression tightened. She looked away. "Those are not yours. They are mine. My ancestors. The blood carries memory as well as life. Now, it lives in you too." Elias's chest tightened. "So I'm seeing your past?" "Pieces," she admitted. "Fragments. Enough to confuse you, perhaps enough to drive you mad. Be careful, human. Our blood is not meant for your kind. The longer it stays inside you, the more it will change you." He studied her face in the shifting firelight. She was beautiful in a way that was alien, untouchable. But what struck him most was the loneliness in her eyes. She carried a burden he could not understand. "Why help me then?" Elias asked. "You could have left me to die." Serenia's gaze flickered back to him, Because if you die, I die. Do not mistake it for kindness. It is survival. Her words were sharp, but Elias heard something else beneath them. A hesitation, a crack in the armor of her voice. Hunters in the dark, their uneasy silence was broken by a sudden cry in the distance. A horn, deep and echoing, rolled through the forest. Serenya's head snapped up, her eyes narrowing. "They come," she whispered. "Who?" Elias asked, already rising to his feet. "Hunters. My people are not the only ones who know of the blood. Others seek it too. They will smell it on you now. You are a beacon." Elias's stomach twisted. "And if they find me?" "They will take you," Serenya said grimly. "To tear you apart. To learn why you live when others die." A branch snapped nearby. Shadows moved between the crystal trees. Elias gripped his knife tighter, but Serenya shook her head. "No, your weapon is nothing to them. Stay close to me." She spun her staff, and the blade hummed with a fierce light. Elias felt a surge in his chest, as if her power pulsed through him too. He realized the bond was more than just life or death. It was strength shared. The hunters emerged from the trees, their forms tall and armored, their eyes glowing faintly. They were not Valari, but something different. Scavenger warriors from another race, their armor pieced together from metal and bone. They carried long spears that crackled with energy. One pointed at Elias. "The blood-bonded human," the creature hissed. "The elders will pay greatly for him." Serenya stepped in front of Elias, her staff raised. "You will not have him." The hunters laughed, a cruel, echoing sound. "Then you will die with him." They lunged forward. The night exploded with light, sound, and fury. The forest shook with the clash of weapons. Hunters moved fast, their glowing spears thrusting through the night air. Serenya met them with the grace of a trained warrior, her staff spinning like a silver whirlwind. Each strike she delivered sent sparks of light across the clearing. Elias stood behind her at first, his knife useless against such weapons. But the bond inside him pulsed stronger with every movement Serenya made. He could feel her focus, her speed, her strength, as if some of it flowed into him. When one hunter slipped past Serenya and lunged for Elias, something inside him awakened. His body moved before his mind caught up. He dodged, grabbed the hunter's arm, and twisted with a strength that surprised even him. The creature crashed to the ground, its spear clattering away. Another hunter rushed him, blade raised. Elias lifted his knife, but the blade hummed with strange light. When the two weapons clashed, Elias expected to be overpowered. Instead, the impact sent a shockwave through both of them. The hunter stumbled back, stunned. Serenya noticed. For a brief moment, her eyes flicked toward him, wide with surprise. Then she spun, striking down two more hunters with swift, precise blows. The attackers realized the fight was turning. One shouted something in its alien tongue, and the group retreated into the crystal trees, their glowing eyes fading into the night. Silence returned. The only sound was Elias's heavy breathing. His hands shook as he lowered his knife. Serenya turned to him, her face unreadable. "You fought as if you were trained in our ways." Elias shook his head. "I don't know how my body just moved. It felt like I wasn't alone, like you were inside me, guiding me." Her eyes narrowed. "That is the bond. It is growing faster than I thought." By the fire later, they sat by another silver fire, hidden deep within the forest. Serenya's armor was scratched, her expression tense. Elias watched the flames flicker and tried to calm the storm in his chest. "Why do they want me?" he asked finally. Serenya stared into the fire. "Because you should not exist. No human has ever survived Valari blood. To them, you are proof of something impossible. They will cut you open to learn why." Elias shivered. "And you? Do you want that too?" Her eyes snapped to him, sharp as a blade. "No, but do not mistake my refusal for trust. If you fall into their hands, I fall too. I protect you only because I must." Elias nodded slowly. "Then maybe we both have the same reason." Survival. She said nothing, but the firelight softened her features. For the first time, Elias wondered what her life had been like before this bond. She carried herself like a leader, but also like someone used to being alone. Strange changes over the next days. As they traveled deeper into the glowing world, Elias noticed his body changing even more. His sight grew sharper. He could see details, in the distance even under the pale moonlight. His hearing stretched farther. He caught whispers of movement in the forest long before Serenia reacted. One morning he lifted a fallen crystal branch that must have weighed more than 100 kilos. He dropped it quickly, staring at his hands in shock. "This isn't normal," he said aloud. Serenia glanced at him. "No, it is not. The bond is giving you fragments of Valari strength, but it is also taking something from you." "What do you mean?" "You are losing pieces of yourself," she said coldly. "The more you use it, the more human you cease to be." Elias felt a chill. "So I'll become like you?" Her expression hardened. "No, you will become something between. Neither human nor Valari. A stranger to both." He wanted to argue, but deep down he already knew she was right. The unfamiliar fire inside him was growing stronger every day. Shared memories. That night as Elias slept, dreams came to him. But they were not dreams, they were memories. He stood on a battlefield beneath two suns, silver warriors clashing with armored beasts. He felt the weight of a staff in his hands, the rhythm of combat flowing through his body. Then the scene shifted, and he was in a great hall of crystal, where Valari elders sat in judgment. Their glowing eyes pierced him with cold disapproval. He woke with a start, gasping. The fire had gone out, but Serenia sat nearby, her eyes fixed on him. "You saw it," she said quietly. Elias nodded, his chest still heaving. "Your memories, the battles, the hall. It felt so real, like I was living your life." Serenia's gaze darkened. "That is dangerous. The bond shares more than strength, it shares memory, thought, even emotion. If you lose yourself in them, you may never return." Elias rubbed his temples. "Then how do I stop it?" "You cannot. You can only endure." Their eyes met across the dim clearing. For a moment, Elias felt her emotions, not just her anger and caution, but also her hidden loneliness. He quickly looked away, unsettled. The village on the third day, they came upon a Valari outpost hidden in the forest. Silver towers rose among the crystal trees, glowing faintly with inner light. Serenia stopped at the edge, her face tense. "My people will not welcome you," she warned. "But we need food and supplies. Stay silent. Do not draw attention." Elias nodded, pulling his hood low over his face. They entered the outpost, where Valari moved gracefully between the towers. Their eyes followed Serenia with respect, but when they noticed Elias, suspicion flickered across their faces. A group of guards approached, their staffs raised. "Outsider," one said sharply. "Why do you bring him here, Serenia?" Elias froze, but Serenia lifted her chin. "He is under my protection." The guards exchanged uneasy glances. One stepped closer, his gaze narrowing. "He smells of our blood." Elias's heart pounded. He wanted to deny it, but Serenia's voice cut across the silence. "That is none of your concern. He is mine." The guard hesitated, then stepped back reluctantly. But Elias could feel the weight of every Valari gaze on him as they walked deeper into the outpost. A growing tension. That night, inside a small shelter, Elias confronted her. They know. They can feel it. Serenia's eyes glinted. Of course they can. The bond cannot be hidden. Then how long before they decide to kill me? Her silence was answer enough. Elias leaned forward, frustration breaking through his fear. I didn't ask for this, Serenia. I didn't ask for your blood. I didn't ask to be tied to you. But here we are. If this bond is real, then maybe we should stop pretending we're enemies. Her expression softened slightly, but only for a moment. You are right about one thing. You did not ask, and neither did I. They stared at each other, caught in a silence that was not hostile but heavy with something unspoken. Hunters return. The next day, as they left the outpost, the forest trembled again. The hunters had followed. This time they came in greater numbers, their eyes burning with hunger. Elias felt the bond surge through him as Serenia raised her staff. His knife glowed faintly in his hand, though it had no reason to. The bond was changing even his simplest tools. As the hunters charged, Elias moved beside Serenia instead of behind her. Their strikes flowed together, her staff spinning high, his knife flashing low. For a moment they fought as one, their movements perfectly in sync, guided by the strange connection that tied them. When the last hunter fell, silence returned. Elias stood panting, blood pounding in his ears. Serenia looked at him, her eyes unreadable. "You are becoming dangerous, human." Elias met her gaze, his chest still burning with unfamiliar fire. "Maybe, but you need me, and I need you." She did not deny it. End of part 3. The bond between Elias and Serenia had grown deeper, bringing strength but also danger. They were no longer strangers. Their lives were tangled, their fates woven together by blood and destiny. Yet with every step, the line between human and Valari blurred further, and Elias could not escape the feeling that something far greater was waiting for them both. The journey to the Valari citadel took many days. The glowing forests stretched on endlessly, giving way to valleys of crystal stone and rivers that shimmered like liquid light. Elias walked with Serenia in silence most of the time. He had grown, used to the strange pull in his chest, the bond that tied him to her, but it still unsettled him. Sometimes he would glance at her and feel emotions that were not his own. At times it was a flicker of anger, at other times, a deep sadness. Once he even felt a faint trace of hope. The connection was no longer just strength or shared vision, it was feeling. Serenia never spoke of it. Her steps were steady, her eyes fixed on the horizon. But Elias knew she felt his emotions too. When fear pressed into his chest, her eyes would harden. When determination flared in him, her pace quickened. They were no longer two separate beings. They were something else, something in between. The citadel at last, the citadel appeared. Rising from the mountains like a crown of silver crystal, it gleamed under the twin suns. Tall spires twisted upward, glowing faintly with inner energy. Bridges of light connected the towers, and great gates carved with living patterns stood at the entrance. Elias stopped in awe. "It's beautiful." Serenia's gaze was unreadable. "It is also dangerous. Do not forget that." As they approached, Valari guards stepped forward. Their armor shone like polished silver, and their staffs glowed with a steady hum. Their eyes immediately fixed on Elias. "Human," one guard said sharply. "Why does he stand with you, Serenia?" "He is under my protection," Serenia answered firmly. The guards exchanged uneasy looks. Then one leaned closer, sniffing the air, as if sensing something hidden. His eyes widened. "He carries our blood." Whispers spread among the guards. Their staffs lifted, forming a circle around Elias. Serenia stepped in front of him, her blade flashing to life. "He is bound to me," she said. "If you strike him, you strike me." The guards hesitated. Then their leader spoke coldly. "Then you both must face the elders." The council, the great hall of the citadel, was vast, its walls carved from crystal that pulsed with faint light. At its center stood a circle of seats where the Valari elders sat. Their eyes glowed brighter than any others Elias had seen, their skin marked with ancient lines of silver light. Serenia and Elias stood before them. The air was heavy with silence. Finally, the eldest among them spoke, his voice deep and resonant. "Serenia, of the Valari, you return from exile with an outsider, a human. And not only that, he carries our lifeblood. Explain." Serenia's voice was steady, though Elias could feel her tension through the bond. "His ship crashed on our world. He was dying. In desperation, he drank my blood. Gasps rippled through the council. One elder slammed her staff against the floor. Impossible. No outsider survives our blood. And yet he lives, Serenia said firmly. The bond is real. His life is tied to mine. The elder's glowing eyes turned to Elias. He shifted uncomfortably under their gaze. He wanted to speak, but his throat felt tight. Finally, he forced words out. I didn't know what it was. I didn't mean to, but I'm alive, and I think I'm changing. The eldest elder's eyes narrowed. That is precisely the danger. A human mixed with our lifeblood is an abomination. A threat to all Valari. Serenia stepped forward. He is not a threat. He has fought beside me. He has protected me. Another elder hissed. Or perhaps, he corrupts you, weakening your mind. This cannot be allowed. The council fell into murmurs. At last the eldest raised his hand. There is only one way to decide. The trial of blood. If the bond is pure, it will endure the trial. If it is false, both will perish. The preparation. That night, Elias sat in a small chamber, his hands shaking. The trial was tomorrow. He did not know what it was, but the word alone was enough to fill him with dread. Serenia stood near the window, gazing out at the glowing city. Her face was calm, but Elias felt the storm inside her. What is this trial? He asked quietly. She turned to him, her eyes solemn. It is a test as old as our people, a place where blood and spirit are judged. We will be thrown into visions, into battles, into fears. If our bond holds, we will survive. If not, she did not finish. Elias swallowed hard. So we live or die together. Yes. He leaned back against the wall, closing his eyes. I didn't ask for this, but if it's the only way to prove we're not a danger, then I'll fight. Serenia studied him for a long moment. Then, to his surprise, she spoke softly. You are strange, human. Most would beg for mercy. You choose to stand. Elias met her gaze. I'm not just fighting for me anymore. For a moment, something flickered in her eyes. Respect? Perhaps even trust. The trial. The next day, the great hall was filled with Valari. They stood in silence as Elias and Serenia were led to the center. The elders raised their staffs, and the crystal floor beneath them glowed with fierce light. Begin the trial, the eldest commanded. The world shattered. Elias fell into darkness, his body spinning. When he opened his eyes, he was no longer in the hall. He stood on a vast battlefield, the sky torn with fire. Around him, monstrous creatures rose, their eyes burning with hate. Serenia stood at his side, her staff blazing. This is not real, Elias whispered. It does not matter, Serenia said. If you fall here, you fall forever. The beasts charged. Elias's knife hummed with strange light, stronger than ever before. He fought beside Serenia, their movements flowing as one. Every strike, every dodge, was shared through the bond. He felt her strength when his own faltered. She drew from his determination when hers wavered. Yet the beasts kept coming, and with each wave the ground cracked, opening into abysses of fire. Then the battlefield shifted. Elias found himself alone in a dark corridor. He called out, but Serenia did not answer. Shadows whispered around him, voices of doubt. You are not human anymore, they hissed. You are nothing. Elias pressed his hands to his head. The voices grew louder. Memories flooded him. His home on Earth, his family, his friends. They blurred, slipping away like smoke. He was losing himself. Then a hand touched his shoulder. Serenia. Her eyes glowed in the dark. Do not listen, she said firmly. You are still you, and you are not alone. Her voice cut through the whispers. Together they pushed forward. The corridor opened into a hall of mirrors. Each mirror reflected a different version of Elias, some human, some alien, some monstrous. He stumbled back, fear rising. Serenia's voice echoed beside him. This is the heart of the trial. It shows what you fear most, what you may become. Elias stared at the mirrors. What if I lose myself? Then hold on to me, she said simply. He looked at her, at the calm fire in her eyes. And he believed. The mirrors shattered. Light exploded around them. The victory. When Elias opened his eyes, he was back in the Great Hall. Sirenia stood beside him, her hand still gripping his. The elders stared in silence. The eldest rose slowly. The bond has endured. It is no curse. It is something new. Whispers filled the hall. Some elders looked displeased, but none could deny what they had seen. Sirenia lifted her chin. He is not a threat. He is proof that our blood can join with others without destruction. The eldest nodded slowly. Perhaps. But beware, Sirenia. This bond may yet reshape the fate of our people. End of Part 4. Elias and Sirenia had survived the trial of blood. Their bond had proven stronger than fear, stronger than death. But survival was only the beginning. The elders had seen the truth, and not all of them welcomed it. A new path lay ahead, one that could unite or divide their worlds forever. The citadel was quiet the morning after the trial of blood. Sunlight glimmered through the crystal towers, casting soft rainbows across the streets. Elias and Sirenia walked together, their steps in perfect sync. Though their bond had endured the trial, the world beyond the citadel was still dangerous. Their lives and the lives of those around them were now linked in ways neither fully understood. Elias could feel the pulse of Valari energy in his veins, a constant hum that reminded him of Sirenia. The memories that had once flooded him now lingered softly like echoes. He knew things about her people he had never known, battles fought long ago, customs older than Earth itself. And though it was unfamiliar, it did not frighten him. It gave him purpose. Sirenia walked beside him, silent as ever, but Elias could sense her thoughts. The bond had grown beyond strength or memory. It had become understanding. Even her unspoken worries were clear to him. She feared the elders might still reject him. She feared what the bond might demand of them in the future. And beneath it all, he sensed a small spark of hope she rarely allowed herself to feel. A threat returns. Their peace was short-lived. From the crystal towers above, a group of unknown figures appeared, Valari outcasts, exiles who had watched the trial from afar. Their faces were hidden beneath dark hoods, and they moved with quiet precision. You survived the trial, one of them called, voice sharp. But that does not mean the world accepts you. The elders may have spared you, but we will not. Elias tensed. He could feel the pull of the bond. Sirenia's grip on her staff tightened, and Elias felt strength flow into him. Together they stepped forward, ready to face the threat. The outcasts attacked without hesitation. Their weapons crackled with dark energy, striking at the ground and sending sparks into the air. Elias moved beside Sirenia, their timing perfect. Every movement she made, he mirrored. Every strike he delivered, she supported. The bond that had been forged in fire during the trial now guided them like a single entity. Despite the danger, Elias felt calm. The fear that had once gripped him was gone. He no longer fought alone. And more than that, he understood that whatever came next, he could endure it with Sirenia by his side. The final challenge. The fight carried them to the edge of the citadel, where a massive crystal bridge stretched over a glowing canyon. The outcasts cornered them, their dark energy forming a barrier that threatened to trap them. Sirenia stepped forward. We cannot defeat them alone, she said, but together, we are stronger than they can imagine. Elias nodded. He could feel the bond pulsing through him, urging him to trust. He raised his hands, and the energy within him began to respond. Light shimmered along his veins, flowing into his arms and hands. It was not his own power alone. It was hers, and theirs together. The outcasts lunged. Elias moved as he never had before, striking with precision and strength he had never known. His knife glowed with silver light, cutting through the dark energy. Serenya's staff moved in perfect harmony, each strike amplifying the other. When the last outcast fell into the canyon, Elias and Serenya stood side by side, breathing heavily. The danger had passed, but the connection between them was now undeniable. They were no longer simply human and Valari. They were a new kind of being, a bond that could not be broken. Acceptance returning to the Citadel, the elders awaited them. This time their eyes were not filled with suspicion, but with cautious respect. The trial of blood was past, the eldest said. And yet, the bond you share is unlike anything we have known. It may change the fate of our people. Serenya bowed her head slightly. He is not an enemy. He is proof that our blood can join with others without destruction. The eldest studied Elias. You are human, yet you carry our blood. You have endured challenges that would destroy any Valari. Perhaps your presence among us is not a threat but a chance to grow stronger together. Elias felt relief wash over him, and through the bond, he sensed Serenya's own relief. For the first time since he had arrived on this alien world, they could breathe freely. A new beginning days passed, and the bond between Elias and Serenya deepened. He learned the ways of her people, the customs, the history, and the purpose behind their mystical lifeblood. She, in turn, saw humanity in him, not just resilience but adaptability, compassion, and the ability to unite rather than divide. Together, they trained, their skills growing. Elias's strength increased, but it was never separate from hers. He learned to channel the Valari energy not just for combat, but for healing and protection. Serenya saw that he was no ordinary human. He was a bridge between worlds, a symbol of what could be achieved when two species worked together. They ventured beyond the Citadel, helping Valari settlements that had been threatened by natural disasters or hostile creatures. Elias's presence, once feared, became a source of hope. Villagers looked to him and Serenya as protectors, as leaders who could face danger and emerge stronger, unfamiliar, but not a lone one. Evening, as twin moons rose over the Citadel, Elias and Serenya sat atop a crystal balcony. The city below glittered like stars trapped in glass, and the wind carried a gentle hum of energy. You know, Elias said softly, I never imagined I'd end up here. I was just a human, lost and alone. Serenya looked at him. And now? I'm still human, I think, he said with a faint smile, but different. I feel stronger, and I feel you. Always. Her expression softened. The bond is stronger than either of us. It will guide you, teach you, and protect you. But it is also a responsibility. It is more than power. It is understanding. Elias nodded. I can handle it. With you. Serenya glanced at him, a faint smile touching her lips. Then perhaps this is destiny, not just for you, not just for me, but for both our worlds. For the first time, Elias felt something completely new. Belonging. The strange fire in his veins, the memories, the shared emotions. They were no longer unfamiliar. They were part of who he had become. And beside him stood Serenya, no longer simply an alien guide or protector, but a partner, a friend, and something more. The future weeks turned into months, and the story of the blood-bonded human spread among the Valari. Some remained skeptical, but many began to see what Elias and Serenya had become, living proof that two species could unite, not through conquest or fear, but through understanding, courage, and trust. Together, they explored distant lands, shared knowledge with her people, and faced dangers that once would have destroyed them. And through it all, their bond grew. It was no longer a bond of survival or of accident. It was a bond of choice, of respect, and of shared destiny. Elias sometimes felt the old fear creep in. Fear of losing himself. Fear of the unknown. But Serenya was always there, guiding him, reminding him that he was not alone. And he reminded her too that even the strongest Valari could benefit from the courage of humanity. The galaxy beyond waited, full of dangers and mysteries. And together, Elias Kane and Serenia faced it not as human and alien, but as something new, something stronger. For the first time in his life, Elias understood what he had felt the first time he drank her blood. Something unfamiliar, something extraordinary, something that would shape the destiny of two species forever. The bond ends so. Under the twin moons of the glowing world, Elias and Serenia stood together, hand in hand, eyes fixed on the horizon. The bond between them was complete. Not just blood, not just survival, but trust, understanding, and something deeper that neither could name. Whatever the future held, they would face it together. And the galaxy would never forget the human who drank the blood of an alien and became something more. For in that moment, humanity was not just surviving, it was thriving.